Hello, friends. Hello, super achievers. If you're on a journey to healing, if you're on a journey to working on yourself, if you're on a journey to having a better relationship with yourself, you are a super achiever. And I feel blessed to be able to talk to you right now, here, about what I want to talk to you about, because it's a very interesting topic to me, and we may take it a bit lightly, but it really matters a lot in an individual's life. And I want us to talk about emotionally draining habits. Habits make us. Habits are the ones that determine the outcome of our lives. So, these emotionally draining habits, I want to give you 5 G's of that. And the first G I want to give you is gossip. Remember, we're talking about emotionally draining habits, and gossip drains you in this way. There are two ways. There's the receiver and the giver, and also there's a third party who is being talked about. And the worst of those people is the one being talked about, or the best of those people is the one being talked about, because we give people reason to talk, and we give people reason to talk about us either positively or negatively. If you want your vibe out there to be positive, then you gotta have positive values and a positive life that people are going to see only positivity in you. Secondly, there is this person who now gives out the gossip. There's not much difference between the one giving and the one listening, because the one listening and the one giving are in the same room. However, the one giving could be benefiting. For example, those people who watch reality shows and soap operas and movie series, and all those kind of things, and then you find yourself addicted to that. If it is not educational, then I consider that to be gossip, because really, what are you benefiting from all that? From listening to people's stories or watching people's stories. The other one is now the one listening to the gossip. Why would you give your time to listen to people's problems or people's stories? Why you should be out there listening to yours? You're watching other people, and you don't know whether you will ever be watched in a positive way. Well, when you're listening to people's problems, you're putting emotionally draining feelings or draining emotions inside you. So I would encourage you to ignore or avoid gossip. Instead, look for something positive to do. The second one is groaning. And groaning is complaining about where we are, what we are going through, what has come over the world. Complaining, instead of looking for a solution or focus ahead into your own life. Because when you focus, then you grow. When you focus, you start developing something positive for your own life. The third one, amazingly, is goals. And many times we set goals that are too big, that we tend to become too lazy, or we see them to be too big for us to achieve. I would encourage you, if you have such a big goal, make it into small steps. Divide it into small steps. If you have given yourself a 90-day routine, maybe to form a habit of exercise, like I have, but I have decided to subdivide those into portions of weeks. So every week I know I have 7 days or 1 day of 7 instead of 1 day of 90. When I make it of 90, even psychologically, it sounds too much of a goal or too big of a goal. Then in being human, you start feeling lazy or unable to achieve that. The fourth G is having grudges. Now, I'm an advocate of healing. When you have grudges, when you build up grudges, you are at a place where you cannot forgive or you're not ready to forgive. And you cannot forgive anyone, or you cannot think of forgiving anyone, or you cannot have grudges with anyone and say that you have forgiven yourself. Because someone who doesn't forgive or someone who has grudges is someone who has had a place where he or she is not ready to discover their own contribution into whatever it is that hurt them. Remember, it takes two to tango. So there's always a part that you have played. There is always a part that you have played, either by the way you interpret the whole issue. It may not be taking part in the act that hurt you, but we have a choice to interpret things and make a different story from our own lives and our own pain. Create totally a different story. So, and I would encourage you to try and forgive yourself. Work on yourself to be able to forgive yourself, because if you don't forgive, it's like drinking poison and you're expecting the other person to die. How does that work? Well, it never works. Number 5 is guilt. And guilt is blaming yourself for whatever has happened, whether it is your fault or not. We have to accept that we are human, and we have to accept that we can make mistakes, and we have to accept that our mistakes can be stepping stones for maybe solutions in our lives or learning. Alibaba said, his name is Jack Ma, said that if we want to learn, we must start looking at our mistakes. Or if you want to learn from successful people or from people who are doing so well, look at their mistakes. Don't look at their success story. Just look at the mistakes and see how did they handle situations when they happen to them. How did they handle pain? How did they handle failure? How did they handle their own shortcomings? So we have to forgive ourselves. We have to allow ourselves to make mistakes. And don't feel guilty for something that sounds so silly or so foolish or so painful that you did to yourself. Do not feel guilty. Instead, look at it like a lesson and start soldiering on. So my 5 G's are gossip, groaning, goals, big goals that seem to be too huge to be achievable, grudges, and guilt. So I encourage you to stay away from these habits. I encourage you to stay positive. I encourage you to instead build habits that are going to help you feel better and do better for yourself. I hope you learned something from that. I hope that was helpful. And if you look at it and make notes, you're gonna have it's going to educate you. It's going to be good for you. Subscribe to my channel, and many more are coming. And I'm glad to be your coach. My name is Angela Zilani. Bye for now.